So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time. Now, needless to say that you have to revise this lecture just after watching it because it is very important. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget these current affairs, okay? So, revise this lecture from the notes provided by us. And these notes are shared on our Telegram channel, and the link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below, okay? All right then. Let's begin today's session. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. Okay, so let's begin. So daily current affairs, 10th of November, Monday, and here is the topics list. So as you all know, the climate conference has begun in Brazil. It is called UNFCCC CoP30. It began in Brazil. So we'll talk about this. Then recently, President of India was in Angola. So therefore, India-Angola Relations came in the news. So we'll discuss this. Then an article was published in the Indian Express about fall in India's LNG imports. So we'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about indoor air pollution because we constantly talk about air quality outside. But indoor air pollution is more than outside air pollution. So we'll talk about this issue as well. Okay. So these are the four topics. Topic number 1 is related to international relations and environment portion of your UPSC syllabus because it's climate conference. Topic number 2 is completely related to international relations. Topic number 3 is related to economics portion of your UPSC syllabus, and topic number 4 is environment. Okay, so these are the four topics. Let's start discussing them one by one, starting with topic number 1, and that is UNFCCC CoP30 begins. Okay, now what is UNFCCC? Well, UNFCCC stands for United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This agreement was adopted in 1992 and it is at Earth Summit in Brazil in 1992. And under UNFCCC, all the countries have resolved to stop climate change. And how to stop climate change? By reducing global warming. And what is the number one culprit of global warming? Well, that is greenhouse gas emissions. So under UNFCCC, well, international legal framework was created so as to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Now, every now and then, the supreme decision-making body under UNFCCC, which is known as Conference of Parties, meets in different countries and takes highest decisions with respect to climate change. Now, the recent Conference of Parties, the 30th Conference of Parties, has begun actually in Brazil. Okay, it began on November 10th and will go on till November 21st. So, what would be the outcomes of this climate summit? We'll talk about it when it will get completed. But as of now, let's talk about UNFCCC. What is UNFCCC? What is COP? What is India's role in this? Let's talk about all these things, okay? And eventually, after 21st November, we'll talk about what was decided in this Conference of Parties. Clear? Okay then, let's begin. So UNFCCC COP30 begins. So UNFCCC stands for United Nations Framework Convention on climate change, right? And COP stands for that under UNFCCC, members meet every now and then, okay? It is known as Conference of Parties. Parties to this agreement, okay? And why 30 is written over here? Because it's the 30th Conference of Parties, okay? So what was in the news? So India at this COP30 Leader Summit in Belém, Brazil has urged developed countries to accelerate their net zero commitments. In fact, India has made this point that developed countries have a bigger responsibility than developing countries. Okay, so developed countries need to accelerate their net zero commitments and aim for net negative emissions. So what is net zero, net negative? We'll talk about that, okay? Currently, UNFCCC is being held in Belém, Brazil from 10th to 21st November. Okay, we have discussed about this. Now, about UNFCCC. Okay, it was established in 1992 and was in force in 1994. So, came into force in 1994. It provides an international legal framework for international cooperation on stabilizing greenhouse gas emissions because greenhouse gas emissions like CO2, methane and all, they cause global warming. Okay. Now, COP is the supreme decision-making body that meets yearly. Every year it meets. Okay. But there are different bodies under UNFCCC. This is the highest decision-making body, COP. But there are other bodies as well. For example, Subsidiary body for scientific and technological advice. As the name suggests, it consists of scientists that would give advice to CoP. Okay. Subsidiary body for implementation. This body contains experts which would advise CoP as to how different agreements and protocols are being implemented. So these are subsidiary bodies. And it also has a secretariat for paperwork and coordination between different departments of UNFCCC. Okay? The ultimate objective of UNFCCC is to restrict global warming to 2 degrees Celsius. That global temperature should not rise more than 2 degrees Celsius, and if possible, restrict it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. This clear-cut objective is mentioned in Article 2 of this international treaty. Clear? Now, currently CoP is undergoing, right? CoP is going on. So therefore, let's talk in a little bit more detail about CoP. What are the responsibilities of CoP? Okay. So CoP's responsibility number 1 is reviewing implementation of UNFCCC and progress towards targets. Okay. So it reviews what has been the progress so far. Then setting new future targets, commitments. Then negotiating amendments to protocols like Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement. So different targets or the agreements that have been negotiated under UNFCCC. Well, if there is any amendment to it, that is negotiated in CoP. Supervising subsidiary bodies and financial mechanisms. Financial mechanisms, money given to developing countries so that they can stop climate change. Making recommendations for implementation and facilitating financial and tech support to developing countries. Okay. Now, on the very first day, India has made its stand clear. It has said that the reason why there is climate change is because there is global warming. And the reason why there is global warming is because since Industrial Revolution in 19th century, a lot of greenhouse gases, which include CO2, has been emitted. And majority of this emission is done by developed countries. So majority, more than 50%, way more than 50% of greenhouse gas emissions so far since Industrial Revolution is done by developed countries. Okay. Because of that, we can clearly say that the biggest culprit for global warming is developed countries. Biggest culprit of climate change is developed countries. Okay. But the thing is that climate change is happening and the harms of climate change would impact all the countries, not just developed countries. Though developed countries are the biggest guilty party, yet the disadvantages would be for all. So saving climate change is common responsibility of all. But because the biggest contribution was made by developed countries, that is why we say that it is a common responsibility, but differentiated. Why? Because yes, it is a common responsibility to stop global warming, but it is a bigger responsibility for developed countries than developing countries because they are more responsible. So, under UNFCCC, every country tries to reduce global warming, but they follow CBDR principle that every country will try, but developed country would try more. Plus, developing countries also don't have the capacity to fight climate change, technological or financial. That is why this principle is known as common but differentiated responsibilities plus respective capabilities. India has made it clear that CBDRC principle should be followed, and under CBDRC principle, these developed countries should do more than developing countries. Okay. Now, India said that you have to quickly follow your targets for net zero emissions, which means that the amount of carbon dioxide or carbon, let's call it carbon, emitted and the amount of carbon absorbed from the atmosphere through forests or other scientific techniques should be equal to each other. So the amount of carbon you are emitting, you compensate for that by absorbing an equivalent amount. This is net zero. Your countries should reach net zero stage soon. India has promised that we will reach by 2070, but developed countries should reach soon. And what do you mean by net negative? Net negative means that the amount of carbon emitted is less than the amount of carbon absorbed. Okay. So India has said developed countries should even reach net negative because you are the biggest culprits. You understand now, right? So this is the thing. Though in your notes, what contributions are made by India to fight climate change so far are also mentioned. So do go through that as well. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to second news item, and that is India-Angola relations. So why this was in the news? You see, recently, President of India, Draupadi Murmu ji, she was in Angola, an African country, and she made a comment that the foundation of the relationship between India and Angola lies in energy trade between the two. Angola produces a lot of crude oil, a lot of natural gas. So India can be one of the biggest importers of this, and this foundation of trade relationship would act as a stabilizer in other areas of cooperation as well. You understand? So she said that the bedrock of India-Angola relationship is energy cooperation, energy trade. Now, what is important for us? Well, President of India was there in Angola, okay, and we signed many MOUs, not just related to energy trade, but in various areas, okay, defense, technology, various cooperation agreements have been signed. These are not important for us. What is important for us is Angola. Geographical location of Angola, a little bit of colonial history of Angola, because MCQs can be asked. Okay, so let's talk about this. So India-Angola relations. So what was in the news? India's President Draupadi Murmu, during her first state visit to Angola, emphasized the central role of energy cooperation in the two countries' trade relations. By the way, remember this. This visit by President of India is the first such visit by President of India in Angola. No president in India's past has ever visited Angola. So this is the first visit by the head of the state of India to Angola. So that's a significant breakthrough. The visit marked the first by an Indian president to Angola, coinciding with Angola's 50th independence anniversary and 40 years of diplomatic relationship with India. Okay, 40 years have passed since diplomatic relationship between India and Angola came into being. Okay, by the way, if you calculate, this is the 50th anniversary. That means Angola got independence in 1975 and established diplomatic relationship with India in 1985. Plus, India is among Angola's top 3 trading partners, currently second largest after China, accounting for 10% of Angola's external trade. So this is significant. Angola values us because we are Angola's second largest trade partner after China. Now about Angola. So this is the geographical location of Angola. So as you can see, it lies on the southwest coast of Africa, right? Lies on the southwest coast of Africa. Its capital is Luanda, okay? And it borders Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia, Namibia, and on the western side is Atlantic Ocean. It shares a big coastline. Its geography includes highlands like plateaus, savannas, and of course, coastal plains as well. Savannas are tropical grasslands. So its geography, its terrain includes grasslands, highlands, plateaus, and coastal plains. Clear? More information on Angola. So now you know its location on a map, its colonial past. So it was under Portuguese rule. The Portuguese came to Angola in 15th century, and then Angola finally gained independence in 1975. Even after independence, Angola was in civil war-like situation between two factions. Now things have stabilized. Angola's economy. Angola is one of Africa's largest oil producers, with petroleum accounting for about 90% of export revenues. So 90% of Angola's exports are crude oil only. But it has been recently found that Angola is extremely rich in natural mineral resources. So it is rich in minerals like diamonds, iron ore, phosphates, and the very important ones, rare earth elements. And maybe it's because of its richness in rare earth elements, India is also engaging more and more with Angola, because this is something that all the big countries are fighting for. Currently, China has dominance over rare earth elements, but USA wants it, India wants it. Okay. And by the way, India-Angola relationship, or the different agreements that were signed between President Draupadi Murmu and Angola this time, are given in your notes. Just give a cursory reading. No need to remember, just give a brief reading. That's about it. Okay. But remember these facts about Angola. There's a high chance that they might ask a question or MCQ on the location of different countries in Africa. So make sure you remember this information. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to third news item, and that is fall in India's LNG imports. Now, you see, the thing is that India is not very rich in fossil fuels. Okay. But India needs fossil fuels. Plus, for a growing economy, there is growing demand for energy. And most of India's energy comes from fossil fuels like coal, crude oil, natural gas. And because India is not naturally endowed with these fossil fuel resources, India is import dependent when it comes to these fossil fuels. Okay, India is import dependent when it comes to coal also. India is heavily import dependent. More than 80% of its crude oil comes through imports. And India is the fourth largest importer of liquefied natural gas in the world, LNG in the world. Okay, but in recent times, LNG imports have declined and domestic production of natural gas has increased. This is good news. But what are the reasons behind this good news? What are the reasons behind this decline or fall in LNG imports? Let's talk about this, okay? So, fall in India's LNG imports. So, what was in the news? India's LNG imports declined by 11.1%, okay? The share of imports in India's gas consumption fell to 49.3. Earlier, 51.5% of natural gas consumed by India came through imports. Now, 49.3 comes from imports and rest is domestically produced. So, share of imports has fallen and share of domestically produced natural gas has also increased. Plus, overall natural gas consumption has fallen. So, this is good news somehow because our import bill will get reduced because of this, right? Now, what are the reasons behind this fall in imports? Okay, so early monsoon rains led to reduced power demand because monsoon came early. Therefore, temperatures cooled early. Because temperatures cooled early, well, demand for power also got reduced. Air conditioners. Plus, because monsoon rains came early, well, demand for electricity for tube wells, irrigation, farming operations, and many other things that also got reduced. So, because of good monsoon and early monsoon this year, demand for power, electricity got reduced. And a lot of electricity in India is produced through natural gas. Electricity is produced through coal also, but a lot is produced through natural gas. So, it led to decrease in natural gas based power demand. Okay, so this is reason number one. Then, high volatility and elevated spot prices of LNG made industries like fertilizers and refineries switch to cheaper alternatives such as naphtha. Okay. Look, fertilizer industry and refinery industry uses natural gas as a raw material, okay, as an energy source for production of fertilizers and other refinery products. Clear? But because natural gas prices were pretty high this time, that is why Indian manufacturers of fertilizers and refinery products, well, they shifted to alternatives like naphtha. So natural gas demand fell. Then gas-based power production fell also. Plus decline in gas consumption by power, fertilizer and refinery sector, all three of them. Clear? Remember this. Natural gas is used in power sector, electricity, fertilizer sector, refinery sector and domestic consumption, cooking food, fuel for cooking also. Clear? Now, what is the importance of natural gas? Well, why is natural gas important for us? Why do we import so much natural gas? Because natural gas is used as a transition fuel. India wants to transition from coal or oil to renewable because renewable energy doesn't emit carbon, but coal and oil does. Natural gas lies somewhere in between. It emits carbon, but not as much as coal. So it is a transition fuel. India wants to become a greener economy. So India will go there step by step. So this is step number one. Okay. Then India's dependence. India is the world's fourth largest LNG importer. So India has significant import dependence. Plus sectors which are dependent on LNG. Power generation, fertilizer, city gas distribution, refineries, petrochemicals. So this is the importance of LNG. That's about it. Some extra information is also given in your notes. Do check that out. Okay. And now let's move on to last topic of the day, and that is issue of indoor air pollution. Look, whenever winters arrive in North India, the issue of air quality is always in the news, especially in the Delhi NCR region. Air quality is a big problem. Everyone knows what kind of health impacts come from bad air quality, right? Air quality is a big issue. But recently, a research has come out which says that many people think that the air outside is bad, but the air inside your houses is worse, 2 to 3 times worse. The amount of pollutants there are indoors are way more than outdoors. Now, up till now, there was no way of measuring how much air pollution there is indoors. Okay, there is air quality index. That index measures air quality outside. But recently, BITS Pilani has come up with a air quality index for indoor air pollution, a scale for indoor air pollution as well. Okay, so we will talk about indoor air pollution. What are the pollutants indoors? What are the air pollutants indoors? Okay, which are the poisonous air pollutants or poisonous gases that we should be wary of? Plus, what are the reasons behind indoor air pollution? What can we do? And what is this BITS Pilani index, air quality index? Let's talk about all these things. Okay. So, issue of indoor air pollution. So, what was in the news? While outdoor air pollution is a matter of concern, most people assume their homes are safe. But indoor air can actually be 2 to 5 times more polluted. Because these pollutants have nowhere else to go. They get trapped inside your home and their concentration increases. Sources of indoor air pollution include construction dust from nearby house construction, cooking emissions, incense sticks. We use these fragrance sticks, okay, fragrant candles, household chemicals, and stored waste. Okay, so these are some of the pollutants. Now, let's talk about key pollutants. Okay, key pollutants. So, particulate matter 2.5 and 10. This is one indoor air pollutant. Carbon monoxide that comes from decomposed organic waste. Okay, nitrogen oxides. Then all these paints on your walls or polish on your wood furniture, they release volatile organic compounds like benzene. That is problematic. Then radon is problematic. Then methane from decomposed organic waste. Sorry, not carbon monoxide, methane from decomposed organic waste. These 6 pollutants cause indoor air pollution to rise to severe levels. Okay. Now, what sort of health impact is there? Poor IAQ, indoor air quality, is linked to sick building syndrome. What is sick building syndrome? Whenever you're inside, you have headaches, fatigue, irritation. That's because of these air pollutants that you're inhaling. This is called sick building syndrome. It is a proper disease. Long-term exposure can cause asthma, bronchial allergies, throat allergies, less immunity, cardiovascular diseases, and even cancer. Especially these volatile organic compounds. They can cause cancer. Then, women and infants are particularly vulnerable to prolonged exposure and indoor cooking emissions. Okay, because in India, because of social structure, mostly females spend a lot of time in the kitchen. So this also is a problem. Yes? Now, what are the causes? Well, we have discussed this. Construction dust, poor ventilation. The modern buildings are designed in such a way, modern buildings are designed in a box-like architecture. There is poor ventilation. Then use of aromatic disinfectants, sprays, incense sticks, fragrant candles. All these release benzene and carbon monoxide. Plus improper segregation of organic household waste, because of which it rots in your own home, produces methane, which is a greenhouse gas and a significant pollutant. Now, what has BITS Pilani done? Well, it has released this IAQ scale. So, BITS Pilani Hyderabad researchers developed India's first customized indoor air quality scale. It comes in a machine also, you can buy it in the market. Considering unique Indian factors like geography, housing, climate, ventilation, the IAQ scale weights pollution concentration 59.5 to pollution concentration 59.5 weightage, exposure time, how long you have been exposed to this much weightage, ventilation efficiency, all these things are weighted, and then a combined weighted average score is released. Okay, to provide a composite score from 22 to 100. If your score is close to 22, very bad air quality. If it's close to 100, very good indoor air quality. So this is the scale that has been recently released. So that's a good thing, because we need to monitor air quality indoors and outdoors both. All right. And that would be all. With that, we conclude today's session. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it will add more value if you're consistent and regular with this lecture series. Plus, you revise it. That's very important. So do not forget to revise this lecture. And I shall see you next time with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.